Because listen, how many of you out there are just like, I'm done with the crazy, I'm done with the hustle. It's like we're burning out. So my dad goes to the balloon man, gets it, but comes back with a freaking Wonder Woman balloon.
My name is Nick Hutchison of Book Thinkers.
Hi, this is Dr. Oz Garcia.
This is John Lee.
My name is Dr. Wendy Suzuki.
Hey, this is Richard Dolan.
This is Jason Pfeiffer.
This is Todd Herman.
My name is Georgia Clare.
This is Nir Ayal.
My name is Chris Bailey.
And this podcast
makes sense. You can always run with your thought if you still want to, if you'd like to. That's your choice. One of the questions I love to ask myself when I recognize that feeling that you're talking about is I say, what else might be true? That's one of the fun things that I love to do. Here's a question that I've been really having fun lately with not taking myself serious. And not even, this is controversial, not even taking life seriously as I've been taught to. Do you think that people take money too seriously?
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
I know that, right? We have to have it and all that stuff. But...
Oh gosh, I am so 100% with you on that question. Yeah, I think people do take it way too seriously, and I think there has to be this give and take where, yeah, I'm not saying go rogue and act like there's no responsibilities, but I think some of you out there need to loosen up. I think some of you all need to go back to that deserving issue and say like, yes, I can buy the nice quality thing. Yes, I don't have to buy from the dollar menu. And there's some people that even if you have a lot of money, you still want to spend it like you're being cheap. Like there's all kinds of, because there's money stories involved, right? It is not always the case where we can't afford it. That's not the case, because there are people that are wealthy that still have, a scarcity mindset. And I've seen it where people hoard, even though they had tons of money in the retirement account. It was crazy. They didn't want to spend it. So yeah, I think, like I mentioned in the beginning, values of mine are fun and adventure. And I think it's important. You have to make it fun. You have to stop taking things so seriously. I love that you asked this, because even for me, especially when I'm going through my ebbs and flows of like, what am I doing? Is this working? I think we all go through that. And I ask myself, okay, how can I make this fun? How do I change the perspective on how I'm approaching this? And how do I make this fun? And I love gamifying things for myself. Nobody even knows that, maybe two people in my life, they know when I'm doing something crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm tracking this and I'm seeing what I'm doing. And they humor me because I'm like, I made it fun. I made it fun where it was a game and only I'm playing in my mind, but whatever freaking trick you got to do to make it fun or to make it where you're going to be able to look at it at a different lens. If that's the thing that's going to help you do it and change that habit or shift the perspective on how you're going to feel like you deserve it or how you're going to spend your money, but whatever the case may be, you absolutely have to bring in fun, because it's not going to be sustainable if you don't. Because at some point you're going to be bored or you're going to be burnt out and you're just going to freaking hate it. You're going to hate it. And then you're not going to want to do it anymore. And it's all because you did not allow fun to come in or you took things too seriously. Again, I am not saying go rogue and be crazy and not be responsible, but there has to be some element of fun involved so that it's sustainable. And then, at the end of the day, you want to enjoy what you're doing, right? You want to have that element of like, you know what, I don't hate this anymore. I don't hate the work that I'm doing, because that's the worst space to be in, right? When we start resenting the things that we're supposed to put out into the world.
So this is, I'm hoping to get like what you actually really think about this, but this is kind of like a feather ruffler for some people probably, but a lot of people like to try to manifest money, right? And a lot of people pray for money. They're like God is like some sort of money delivery system. But I'd love to know your take on those concepts. Like, do you believe that you can manifest and attract money into your life, however you do it? And what role does your money story play in manifestation? So what I'm saying is like a lot of people might say, oh, she's right. I have like a totally wonky money story and that's the problem. But then they go and they try to manifest and attract money into their life without like addressing that. So what are your thoughts on manifestation and praying and hoping and praying for money?
I love this question. I am a huge believer in manifesting, and I have learned myself how to do it faster and faster. And the thing that I will say about manifesting, first, it works. It's a real thing. Okay, so this is not just a woo-woo thing. There's research behind all this kind of stuff. Now, to what Dragon was saying, if you have money stories that you haven't worked through, you can do all the wishing, praying, hoping, whatever you want, but that money story will still be in the way. It will still be a block. And so if you, for example, still have a deservingness issue, if you still, for example, still feel like, oh, I can't charge that, or that's too much, that's crazy talk. You can try to manifest all you want for that 6-figure business, for that $10,000 to come in. But the way that this works is that the energy that you are putting out, the energy that you are thinking, and your thoughts become things. The energy and the thoughts are vibrating at a level that is saying to the universe and God and spirit that, oh, you know what? She's asking for this, or he's asking for this, but he doesn't really want it because they keep saying that it's too much. Okay, well, if it's too much, we'll just give you 197. Well, they said they don't deserve it. Well, then maybe we don't give it to them. So what ends up happening if you do not clear these money blocks and these money stories, you are sending out conflicting messages. And that's where people start to wonder, how come it's not happening? How come I'm not manifesting? These things are not working. All this manifesting is just a bunch of bullshit. No, it's not that. It's that there is still rewiring work to do. There is still a lot of working through the money stories, because think about that. You can't be thinking one thing and then expecting the results of what you're trying to manifest. That just doesn't work that way. The other thing too, when it comes to manifesting, this is not wishful thinking. This is not, oh, I'm manifesting, and I'm going to ask for wishes. And it's because a lot of times, this is what I have found when it comes to manifesting, there are a lot of people out there that think that I'm just going to ask for this and write on a Post-it that I want this and this, and I'm so amazing. And then you don't want to do the work. You just want to sit and think that it's just going to come to you. And you have to co-create with the universe, God, spirit, whatever your word is, whatever your religious, it doesn't matter. It's the concept. So don't get caught up in what I'm calling it. You call it what you call it in your own world. But a lot of us are starting to think, or a lot of us think, that I'm just going to manifest, or I'm going to ask for this. Well, why isn't it happening? It doesn't work that way. You have to co-create. You have to take inspired action. How many of you out there, I might be stepping on some toes here, you get this idea, or you've been asking for, I need some clarity. I don't know what to do. I don't know how. I don't know what to do. And then an offer comes along your way, or a coach comes along your way, or you watch a Zoom and you find out at the end they pitch a great offer. And it is like all of these situations, they're the perfect scenario to help you get to what you're trying to solve. And then you pause and you say no. Then you come up with these excuses, you don't get the help, you don't do it. And then you wonder, why are you still in the same place? Then you want to go back to your manifesting journal and write out, I want to make 6 figures in my business. But you are not making the decision to take the action. You're stopping it. So there's a lot of different things that are happening at the same time that we have to realize that the manifesting happens when you also do your part and co-create with the universe, God, spirit, whatever your word is, and you take inspired action, not sit around and wonder and think and not take action and then you still continue to, I just don't know how. I just don't know how. And it reminds me of that joke or that story that a lot of us have heard, where the guy was stuck on the roof and he was praying to God, help me. And then God sent a boat, a helicopter, and all these different ways to help this guy get off the roof of his house when there was a big flood. And he said no to every situation. And that's what's happening sometimes in a lot of your lives. The help is right in front of your face. The answers are right in front of your face, but you keep saying no to it. And it's not this thing where, again, you just wish for it. There are going to be these opportunities and these times where you have to stop and pause and go like, it might be scary. You might be scared as shit to take this move, but that doesn't mean you don't do it.
Mm.
And here's the way that you can tell if it's a decision you should make. Because a lot of times I think a lot of you will think that, oh, no, there's some fear. I shouldn't do it. No, I shouldn't do that because that's scary. One of the things that I ask myself, even when it's scary, is that if I said yes to this thing, even though it's scary or it feels a little like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this. The way that I can tell it's still in alignment is if I do this, does it still move me forward to where I'm going or where I want to go? Regardless, because our emotions can be confusing sometimes. If the answer is yes, I will still say yes. Even if I'm scared of shit, even if I'm scared that I don't know how I'm going to do it. I always just tell myself, I'm going to figure this out because this is in alignment with where I'm trying to go. This is in alignment with what I need to do. So I do not let that fear mislead me and say, well, then that's scary. I don't want to do it. Because there's some of us that confuse that fear with I shouldn't do it versus I need to do it afraid anyways.
Yeah. So good. It's ironic that we were joking about God not being a vending machine, but the bank is kind of a vending machine. And what's interesting is if you walk into the bank and you're not ready and you ask for a loan, they're going to deny your loan. They say you didn't fill out the paperwork. You got to get your shit together. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like people just kind of hope that they don't have to do the work and they're just going to ask for things without having to do the work. And they know they need to do the work. But sometimes I wonder if people just don't actually want money. You know what I mean? Like, because even if you tell somebody, if somebody listens to this episode and they see the block and they don't do anything about it, I would just challenge you to look in the mirror and say, are you really ready to make money? Because it's waiting to come for you. We're kind of at the end of the conversation, and I just want to make sure that we get this out there. You talk about the creative code, which is your book. In the simplest terms, what is the creative code and this idea of kind of rewriting your story and like maybe share what the first step is?
Yeah. So the first step, so I'll give you the all three to condense it. There's like 16 chapters. The crux is, the framework is basically one, rewrite your story, whether it's your money story, which is what we've been talking about. The second one is to reposition your value. And then the third one is to move with inner knowing. So it's almost like a nice recap to summarize all the things we just talked about in the last hour. And so when I think about the people that I've worked with and talked with, it always comes back down to the story. So that's number one. And then number two, repositioning your value. That's understanding where am I at and what am I offering? Am I even sloppy? Let's be real. Some of us don't even have systems. Some of us don't even have concrete contracts. And, do I even know what I'm offering? Do I even know who I'm selling this to? It's just kind of like, I'm just going to address it here and there. And so there's things like that, and understanding, are you trying to operate as a freelancer? Are you trying to be an order taker? Or are you somebody that as a coach, consultant, service provider, whatever it is that you're doing, are you looking at it and positioning your messaging out into the world that I provide a strategy, I provide a solution? And that is a very different position than I'm just taking orders and I can just do this one thing. And if that doesn't make sense, I'll give you an example as a graphic designer. So as a graphic designer, I can just say like, hey, I'll make your logo and charge, whatever, $500. Not that I would ever do that, but let's just say it's $500 for a logo, right? I can do that. But now you're just an order taker. Like, I'm just going to sell things here and there versus, hey, I'm a graphic designer, but I'm also, this is what I can provide to you. We'll take care of your logo, but you know what? Let's create a comprehensive package. We're going to take this logo and then we're going to create social post that's going to cover all the material that's in your workbooks, in the workshops that you do. And then we'll create frameworks, and then we'll create, the workbooks that go with it. Do you see what I'm saying? Whatever the situation, the project is, now it's going from like $500 to a multi-$1,000 project because I am providing a strategy, a business solution for whoever my target audience is. And so repositioning your value, those are some of the tiny ways you can start where you're not just an order taker, where this is where you start to see, like, when you get into that echelon of things, oh, this is how I can start making money. I'm not just doing this one little thing over here. I'm providing a comprehensive strategy for the people that I'm trying to help. And then the third one is move with inner knowing. And this is what we were talking about also, that trust your gut. I think so often we're trying to be too in our brain. And overthinking and overanalyzing. And I think there's a time and place to do research. I really do. Do not get me wrong. However, some of us stay there too long. And sometimes if you just trust your gut and stop, and I do a lot of stop and pausing, if you can't already tell, we just have to stop and pause and like, hey, you can tell sometimes when you're asking yourself, should I do XYZ? Should I, put the deposit down, or should I say yes to this collaboration project? Sometimes you just need to stop and ask yourself, like, how am I feeling? How is my physical body and my spirit feeling about this decision? Sometimes the answer is so quick. If you just ask yourself that question and then you can feel it like it's a hell yeah, then just jump on it. Stop overanalyzing it. Just say freaking yes. I have learned over the years to make fast decisions with alignment. Again, not being rogue and crazy, but making fast decisions with alignment. And I don't get caught up. Oh my gosh, my child. I have a 14-year-old son. He is the king of like, but what if it doesn't work? But what if this happens? And but what if this? And I said, why are you allowing your brain to go there? And then he just makes his face at me like, and I'm like, exactly, stop it. We're not even there yet. And I said, so what if it blows up in your face? At that moment, you have the decision of how you're going to take a different direction. But we're not there yet. So stop worrying about, and why are you manifesting something that you don't even want, or even putting that energy out there? And so, it's that simple. And then if there is the other answer that it's just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Don't ignore that. Your body is already telling you like, yeah, there's a red flag. Go deeper and ask yourself like, well, why isn't it a hell yes? Why is there that weird feeling that, and you will see once you kind of flesh it out, like, okay, this is why I didn't want to do it. It can be that simple sometimes. Is it a hell yes, it feels good? Or it's like, oh, I don't know, there's a red flag. Let me explore that. I'm not saying it's always an immediate no, but there's something to explore. And sometimes you might find like, okay, well, I'm willing to still say yes, but I'm at least aware of something that I have to pay attention to. And you can still make that decision. But at least I think the biggest thing about this part is that knowing that it's all about you taking action. Whether you say yes or no, the danger zone is when you do nothing at all.
Right. That's the only guarantee. I always tell people, if you're looking for a guarantee, do nothing, because it's a guarantee what will happen. Yeah, it's another funny thing about it is we spend so much time trying to like have everything be perfect. Our belief, the timing has to be right, our confidence, we have to be motivated and all that stuff. That's why people they're going to take like 12 courses on money problems before they actually do something. The funny thing about it is even if you do everything right, you're going to fail more than succeed in life. That's the funny thing. So it's silly to get attached to outcomes, because I can promise you that Jen Fontanilla has failed more than succeeded in life. Well, that's what makes a successful person. The most successful person in the room is the person that failed the most and just never stopped. So I always remind people to get rid of their attachments to the outcomes, because you're going to be upset if you do that. My last question is this. What would you say is one belief about money that they need to let go of immediately?
There's so many. I would say the belief that I think that people need to let go of is that it's hard. It's hard to make money. It's hard to do this. It's hard to be successful. We need to get rid of that, because I can tell you about all the different money story examples and statements and all kinds of things, but it really comes down to us releasing this idea that making money has to be hard, that everything has to be this hustle. We need to get out of that hustle mentality. We need to get out of that hustle mode and start to embrace and start to embody this idea of, wait a minute, what if it was possible to do this with ease? What if it was possible to do this in a relaxed manner? And I think what's so wonderful, when you start embodying that, you start to show up differently. You start to attract and magnetize different things differently, because you're already accepting the fact that it doesn't have to be hard. You're already accepting the fact in your mind, in your being, in your subconscious, everything, that it doesn't have to be hard. it doesn't have to be a struggle. There's times when we use that phrase, I'm on the struggle bus, or, the struggle is real. Let's let go of that, because there are so many examples and so many people out there that are doing it with ease.
I love that. I always try to put it, because sometimes I perceive that things are hard, but I always like to just redefine the word and call it hardly. What aspect of your work are you most excited about that you would want to share with people right now?
Oh gosh, right now I'm working on this offer. It's called the Premium Positioning Intensive. It's really just walking people through their positioning, also working on some mindset, and then, even working on their offers and their pricing, and really working through the idea of like, yes, we can charge that much. Yes, go do it. And I think that's the most fun part for me, is when I'm working with somebody and they're like, are you sure? Are people still spend? I'm like, just do it. Add another zero, and then just like, what? And I'm like, just do it. And they'll come back and they're like, oh my gosh, somebody just said yes. I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, duh, of course. Like, I knew they were. Like, this is why I'm telling you to do it. And it's so exciting for me. It's so exciting for me to see other people make money, But you can stalk me on LinkedIn.
Great LinkedIn game, this girl.
Oh, thank you so much. So I would love to connect with you there. Please connect, shoot me a DM, tell me you saw me on the podcast with Dragon. I would love to hear what's working.
So I want to start having some fun, and without you knowing who the next guest is, and it's a big shot person, what would be something you'd like to know about them? So I'm going to ask them a question from you.
I always love to hear either disastrous stories that they can laugh about now, or something embarrassing that happened that they laughed about that happened to them and it turned into a lesson. Those are always fun to me, for me to hear or read about when somebody talks about that.
Jen Fontanilla, what a fun conversation. So important. There's so many people that are just simply in the way of stuff that's trying to come to them. Your work is fantastic. You're fantastic. And you did great in the Dragon's Lair. Congratulations. And thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being a guest on our show.
Thank you, Dragon. I appreciate it. This is Jen Fontanilla, and this podcast makes sense.
Do me a favor, hit subscribe and like the video if you're vibing with this. It helps us reach more people who need to hear this message. Share this with a friend and comment with a topic that you might want to hear in future episodes. I want to make sure that we're talking about things that matter most to you.
Makes sense.